बैकग्राउंड में बहुत आ रहा है साउंड।
Very good evening to all. Today I'm going to continue with the same chapter, that is chapter number 22 of 11th NCERT Biology, that is Chemical Coordination and Integration. We are going to discuss about the hormones which are secreted by the thymus gland, pineal gland, and other organs like testes, ovary, heart, kidney, and gastrointestinal tract. Let us do a quick revision about what we have discussed in the previous session. We have discussed about the definition of the hormone and its physical and chemical characteristics along with the insight of mechanism of hormonal actions according to the types was also seen. Hormones secreted by pituitary gland, hypothalamus, thyroid gland, parathyroid gland, adrenal gland, along with some important terminologies were also reviewed. As per the suggestion which I got in the previous session, I have included a diagram of whole body along with the glands so that it would be convenient for us to remember the position of each and every gland. So this is the diagram in which we can see each and every gland which are situated in a human body. That is hypothalamus, pituitary gland, pineal gland, thyroid and parathyroid gland, and thymus, pancreas, adrenal gland situated above the kidney, then ovaries in females, and placenta during the pregnancy, which is responsible for the secretion of HCG hormone, and the testicles in male. So today I'm going to continue with the thymus gland. So here it comes. The thymus gland is a bilobed gland which is located just behind the lungs, that is behind the sternum on the ventral side of the aorta, and it is quite large at the time of birth. That is the main gland which is responsible for the immune system, or which is responsible for the development of the immune system, as in this gland only the maturation of the T lymphocyte occurs. As we can see in the image, it is bilobed gland. The right lobe and the left lobe is present, and different lobules are present in these gland. These small lobules are covered by connective tissues, and at the time of birth, this thymus gland is quite large, but as the age increases, the size of the thymus gland keep on decreasing. Due to this, the immune response of the old person is weak. And here as shown, the lobules, they are divided into two regions. The darkly staining region is known as the cortex, and the loosely staining region is known as the medulla. The medullary region consists of reticular epithelial cells, and these cells are also known as corpuscles of Hassel or thymic corpuscles, which are phagocytic in nature. Hormones and functions of the thymus gland. Thymus gland secrete the hormone thymosin, which is peptide hormone. And after birth, the T lymphocyte or T cells are matured in the thymus gland. And these lymphocytes are then released by the thymus gland. They reach to the lymphatic organs like spleen, Peyer's patches, and lymph node. Peyer's patches are the small masses of lymphatic tissues which are found in the ileum region of the small intestine. As we all know that the small intestine is generally divided into three parts, as it's a duodenum, jejunum, and ileum. The ileum part contains the Peyer's patches, and these Peyer patches prevent the growth of pathogenic bacteria in the intestines. Thymosin hormone stimulates the maturation of lymphocyte to destroy the antigen produced by the bacteria. And according to the theory of aging, the decline or disappearance of the thymus gland in the middle age is the primary cause of the aging. That is, as the thymus gland keeps on decreasing in its size, the immune system becomes weak and aging occurs. The thymus provides the cell-mediated immunity. Cell-mediated immunity is an immune response that does not involve the antibodies, but it involves the activations or excitations of the phagocytosis, antigen-specific cytotoxic T lymphocytes, and release of various cytokinins in response to the antigen, while the humoral immunity is the immunity in which antibodies are involved. That is, it is an antibody-mediated immunity which is assisted by the helper T cells. Helper T cells are those cells which helps the B cell to differentiate and form the B plasma cells against any specific antigen. Thus, this thymus provides the cell-mediated immunity as well as it also promotes the humoral immunity. So, this thymus is also known as the throne of immunity or training school of T lymphocyte because the maturation of the T lymphocyte occurs in the thymus gland. Secretion of thymosin decreases the neuromuscular transmission. So, hypersecretion of thymosin may cause myasthenia gravis. Myasthenia gravis is actually an autoimmune disorder which is caused by antibody-mediated blockage of neuromuscular transmission, which may result into the weakness in the body as well as fatigue of the muscles. These in myasthenia gravis, the antibody block the receptors which are responsible for the attachment of the acetylcholine. Acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter, and due to blockage of this, the fatigue of the muscles and weakness is seen. Next is the pineal gland. Pineal gland is very small in size, and it is situated at the dorsal side of the diencephalon of the anterior part of the brain, that is also known as the prosencephalon, and it is also known as the epiphysis cerebri. Pineal body is a part of the brain and it is ectodermal in origin. Pinealocytes are the cells which are situated in the pineal bodies. Along with that, the supporting interstitial cells or neuroglial cells are also present in the pineal body. The hormones which are secreted by the pineal body is melatonin. Melatonin is an amino acid derived hormone, or we can also say that it is a peptide hormone. And this melatonin play a very essential role in regulation of diurnal or circadian cycle. This circadian cycle is a natural internal process that regulates the sleep-wake cycle. And this sleep-wake cycle keeps on repeating after 24 hours. Thus, for maintaining the proper body balance and for maintaining the sleep-wake cycle, the melatonin hormone is responsible, as well as it is also responsible for maintaining the body temperature. It is proved that the level of melatonin rises during darkness and falls during the light period. Melatonin also influences and also helps in different processes like metabolism, pigmentation, menstrual cycle, and defense capability. In amphibians and reptiles, this hormone also causes the metachrosis, and metachrosis is the phenomena in which the change in the skin color occurs, and it is due to the effect on the melanophore cells of skin, and thus it acts antagonistically to the MSH of pituitary, because MSH generally removes or lessens the amount of melatonin, thus it fairs the complexion, while melatonin increases or makes the complexion darker. The mid part of the pineal gland secretes the antigonadal hormone, and this antigonadal hormone is mainly responsible for control of the sexual behaviors in mammals. It inhibits the sexual irritations and also inhibits the development of genitalia and the functions. If pineal gland is removed from the rat, then they will face the premature adolescence. This gland probably controls the sexual behavior according to the light differentiation. Thus, it regulates the breeding seasons in the animals. Maximum development of pineal gland occurs up to 7 years, and then it undergoes involutions, and at the age of 14, interstitial tissue, as I had discussed in the previous slide, that the pineal body is having two types of cells. That is, one is the interstitial cell and other is the pinealocyte. So these interstitial tissue will undergo involution and crystals of calcium carbonate are deposited in it, and this is called as a brain sand or acervuli. Next is the pancreas. Pancreas is actually comes in the both category, that is exocrine as well as endocrine, and it is situated at the backside of the stomach in the abdominal cavity. The exocrinic nature comes from the acini. Acini actually forms the 99% of the pancreas, and it is responsible for the secretion of the digestive enzyme. Acini are the cells which are round and clustered, and usually they are epithelial in nature. Just as we have seen, like berry, uh, and this acini looks same like that. That is like globules or clusters of many different cells, and they are found there are found numerous small endocrine glands scattered between the acini. The small endocrine glands are known as islet of Langerhans. They are of 1 to 2 million cells, and that is only 1% of the pancreas gland. And islet of Langerhans are having four type of cells: alpha cells, beta cells, delta cells, and F cell or PP cells. The alpha cells are the largest cells which are present in the peripheral regions, and they form approximately 25% of the total cells, and they secrete the hormone glucagon. Next is the beta cells. Beta cells are smaller than the alpha cells, and they are situated in the central region, forming 60 to 65% of the total cells, and they are responsible for the secretion of the insulin hormone. Delta cells are secreted from the middle region and forms 10% of total cells and secrete somatostatin hormone. Somatostatin hormones help in regulating the activity of the alpha cells and the beta cells, which are secreting the glucagon and insulin respectively. And P cells, PP cells or F cells, they secrete the pancreatic polypeptide hormone, and these pancreatic polypeptide hormone are responsible for reabsorption of the food in the intestine. And these PP cells, the pancreatic polypeptide hormone, are generally of 36 amino acids. Now we will discuss about the insulin, that is the hormone which is secreted by the beta cells of islet of Langerhans. This was first found by Banting and Best. The molecular structure of insulin was first derived by A.F. Sanger, and he derived the structure from the cow's insulin, and the term insulin was also given by the A.F. Sanger. And it is the first protein that is artificially synthesized in the lab and is crystallized. As we all know that the insulin is already synthesized as a recombinant protein by using the rDNA technology. Then human insulin was synthesized by San, and that was known as the humulin. Insulin is made up of a 51 amino acid, and it is having the two chain, alpha chain and the beta chain. As we can see in the image, the alpha chain and the beta chain, or A chain and B chain, are shown in the figure. The A chain is derived of 21 amino acid, and the B chain is having, or beta chain is having, the 30 amino acid. And both A chain and B chain are jointed together by disulfide bridges. We can see it in the image. And the inactive form of insulin, that is the proinsulin, is also having the C chain. The C chain is the connecting link between the A chain and the B chain, which is afterwards being cleaved to make the insulin active. A.F. Sanger also was awarded by the Nobel Prize for this. Function of insulin. Insulin act in the metabolism also, just like in carbohydrate. It inhibits the gluconeogenesis. Then it promotes the glycogenolysis. Glycogenolysis is the process of glycogen synthesis in which glucose molecule forms the glycogen, and the two major sites of glycogenesis is the liver and muscles. It also enhances the peripheral utilization of the glucose, and due to this, the blood sugar level fall, and it inhibits the glycogenolysis. It means glycogenolysis is the term which is used in breakdown of glycogen into glucose for the production of energy. It helps in fat metabolism as it promotes the lipogenesis and inhibits the lipolysis. Lipogenesis is the process of lipid formation, while lipolysis is the breakdown of lipid. And insulin also inhibits the formation of ketone bodies. It promotes the protein synthesis by promoting the uptake of amino acid by liver and muscles. In nucleic acid, insulin promotes the synthesis of DNA and RNA. The normal concentration of sugar in the blood can be of 90 to 110 mg per 100 ml of blood. Now we will see what happens when the hypersecretion of the insulin occurs. Hypersecretion of insulin gives rise to the diabetes mellitus, which is also known as the sugar disease. It causes hyperglycemia, that is due to hyposecretion of insulin, that is due to low secretion of insulin, the blood sugar level will increase and the body cell will not store the sugar, thus all the sugar will be drained in the blood, and due to this hyperglycemia occurs, that is increase in the amount of sugar in blood. Then next is the glycosuria. Glycosuria is the term in which the glucose is excreted through the urine. If the amount of glucose exceeds from 180 mg per dl in the blood, this is known as the glycosuria. As we have seen that the normal concentration should be of 90 to 110. Polyuria is the term used for the amount of water increases in the urine, so interval of urination gets reduced. It is called polyuria. Polydipsia, due to excess excretion of the urine, probability of dehydration is enhanced. The patient feels excessive thirst, and this is called as the polydipsia. Polyphagia is excessive hunger. Ketoacidosis, due to active and incomplete deposition of the fat in fatty tissues, ketone bodies are formed. As I have discussed earlier too, that it leads to lipolysis. It inhibits the lipolysis and it promotes the lipogenesis. Means lipolysis will not occur, means the lipid will not get broken down. Thus, the deposition of lipid will give rise to the ketone body formation, and these ketone bodies are toxic, just like the acetone, acetoacetic acid, and beta hydroxybutyrate. Ketonuria is the excretion of toxic ketone bodies through urine. The combined effect of ketoacidosis, that is the formation of the ketone bodies, dehydration, that is polydipsia, and hyperglycemia, that is increase in the amount of blood sugar, may cause a diabetic coma to the patient, and the patient become unconscious or even may die. Insulin hormone is given to the patient by injection. In this disease, insulin is generally not given orally because this is the protein which gets digested in the alimentary canal. Along with the oral insulin, two more type of insulin are given. That is, first is the insulin zinc suspension. Insulin zinc suspension is the suspension of insulin for injection in a buffered solution which is having zinc, like a zinc salt, like a ZnCl, and this zinc is mainly responsible for increasing the stability, and it is having the intermediate to long duration of action. Another type is the PZI, that is protamine zinc insulin. This protamine zinc insulin is also having the long action, and it can lower the blood sugar level much more than 23 hours. And this zinc, which we are adding in protamine zinc insulin, it actually provides the stability to protamine insulin. This protamine insulin is the intermediate of the acting insulin. Thus, these are the two forms in which the insulin can be given, that is IZC, insulin zinc suspension, and another one is the PZI, that is protamine zinc insulin. Hypersecretion of insulin, that is also known as the hyperinsulinism. Hyperinsulinism leads to the hypoglycemia, that is reduction in the blood sugar level. In hypoglycemia, the body cells take more and more glucose from the blood, so the need of glucose for the nervous system, retina of the eye, and genital epithelium is not fulfilled. Sorry, I had not discussed the point that insulin also maintains the membrane permeability. that is, except the brain cell in RBC and retina and genital epithelium, insulin stimulates the permeability and consumption of glucose in all the somatic cells. Now, if the insulin will be secreted in the higher amount, then these following cells, that is the nervous system, retina of the eye, and genital epithelium will not get the appropriate amount of glucose, and due to this, the patient loses its reproductive power and sight. And due to excess irritation in the brain cells, patient feels exhausted, unconscious, cramps, and at last the patient dies. Next is the glucagon. Glucagon is secreted by the alpha cells of the islet of Langerhans, and it is hyperglycemic hormone, and it is made up of 29 amino acid. It works antagonist to the insulin, that is, it is secreted by the pancreas when the amount of blood sugar get reduced. And glucagon hormone increases the amount of blood sugar level, thus it is working antagonistically to the insulin, and it stimulates the gluconeogenesis in liver. As a result of this, amount of glucose in the blood get increased, and it stimulates the lipolysis of fat in fatty tissues. It decomposes the glycogen into glucose in liver, that is glycogenolysis in liver. The secretion of insulin and glucagon is controlled by limit control feedback. That is, when the amount of glucose will increase or blood sugar will increase, then insulin will be secreted, and when it will get reduced, then the glucagon will be secreted. These are the following key points. The type 1 diabetes or diabetes is also known as the insulin-dependent diabetes mellitus, and this is caused by the deficiency of insulin. Thus, the name is also showing that it is insulin-dependent. It can be treated by insulin therapy, and it is an example of autoimmune disorder. Next type is the type 2 diabetes or non-insulin dependent diabetes mellitus. It is caused by the decreased sensitivity of receptor of the target cell to the metabolic effect of insulin. In this, the insulin is formed in the proper amount, but the problem is in the receptor of the target tissue, which is not able to accept the insulin, or which has decreased its sensitivity, due to which the insulin is not reached to the target tissues, and this is known as the insulin resistance. 14th November is celebrated as the World Diabetes Day, and another terminology is the insulin shock. At the time of the physical labor or fasting, if a diabetic patient takes an insulin injection, sugar level in the blood reduces quickly to up to 40 mg per 100 ml of the blood, and this leads to the insulin shock, and the patient may become unconscious or even may die. Now we will discuss about the other organs which secrete the hormones, like the testes. Testes, they are situated in the scrotal sac in pair in the male individual, and it is performing the dual function as it is a primary sex organ, and it is also endocrine gland, and it is composed of the seminiferous tubules. As we can see in the diagram, the seminiferous tubules are shown here. These are the seminiferous tubule folded structure, and the stromal or interstitial tissues. The Leydig cell or interstitial tissues, which are present in the intertubular spaces, produces androgen hormone. Androgen, the testosterone is a type of androgen, and in the secretion of the testosterone, luteinizing hormones play an important role. Androgens regulate the development, maturation, and function of the male accessory sex organs like epididymis, vasa differentia, seminal vesicle, prostate gland, and urethra. These are the different accessory organs which are present in the male reproductive system. In the image, we can see the Leydig cells which are present in the interstitial tissues surrounding the seminiferous tubules. These hormones, that is the androgen or testosterone, stimulate the muscular growth of the facial and axillary hair, and aggressiveness, low pitch of voice, etc., which are the secondary behaviors which are observed in the male. Androgen also play a major stimulatory role in the process of spermatogenesis, that is the formation of spermatozoa. And androgen act on the central nervous system and influences the male sexual behavior. Ovaries. Females are having the pair of ovary which are situated in the abdomen. Here we can see in the image that the ovaries are situated, which are connected through the fallopian tube. These ovary are the primary female sex organ which produces an ovum during each menstrual cycle. And ovary produces two groups of steroidal hormone, that is the estrogen and the progesterone. Estrogen is synthesized and secreted mainly by the growing ovarian follicles. Growing ovarian follicles. In this image, we can see different type of ovarian follicles which are growing. These are the different developmental stages of the ovarian eggs or cells. That is from the primordial follicle to primary follicle to secondary follicle, Graafian follicle, and like this. And estrogen is secreted by these growing ovarian follicle, and after ovulation, here, after ovulation, the ruptured follicle will form the corpus luteum, and this corpus luteum is responsible for the secretion of the progesterone hormone. Thus, in the ovary, we have learnt about the two hormones, that is estrogen and progesterone. Estrogen is secreted by growing ovarian follicles, and progesterone is secreted after ovulation by the corpus luteum. And this corpus luteum is the mass of cells that plays an integral role in regulating the menstrual cycle as well as in the early stages of the pregnancy. Estrogen produces wide-ranging actions such as stimulation of the growth and activities of the female secondary sex organs, development of growing ovarian follicles, appearance of female sex characteristic, that is high pitch of voice, etc., and mammary gland development. Estrogen also regulates the female sexual behavior, just like the testosterone was doing the same in males. Then progesterone supports the pregnancy, as I discussed, that it also maintains the menstrual cycle. It also acts on the mammary gland and stimulates the formation of alveoli. Alveoli is responsible for the storage of the milk as well as for the milk secretion also. And it promotes the alveolar growth in pregnancy and increases the secretory surface of the alveoli, which supports the milk secretion in the lactating mothers. Next is the heart. The atrial wall of our heart secretes a very important peptide hormone called atrial natriuretic factor, and this is responsible for the decrease in the blood pressure. When blood pressure increases, the ANF, that is atrial natriuretic factor, is secreted, which causes the dilation of the blood vessels, that is widening of the blood vessels, and due to widening, the blood pressure gets reduced. Kidney in the juxtaglomerular cells of the kidney produces the peptide hormone called erythropoietin, and this erythropoietin plays important role in erythropoiesis, that is the formation of the RBC. Along with this, another hormone which is secreted by kidney is the renin, which help in increasing the reabsorption of water and sodium ion in uriniferous tubules. Gastrointestinal tract hormone. Endocrine cells present in different parts of the gastrointestinal tract secrete four major peptide hormones, namely gastrate, secretin, cholecystokinin, and gastric inhibitory peptide. Gastric hormone is secreted in the gastric glands, and they control the secretion of hydrochloric acid and pepsinogen in stomach. Then secretin act on the exocrine pancreas, that is the Acini cells in pancreas, and it stimulates the secretion of water and bicarbonate ions. CCK, that is cholecystokinin, act on both pancreas and gallbladder for releasing or secretion of the pancreatic enzyme and the bile juice, which help generally in the digestion. And the GIP, that is gastric inhibitory peptide, inhibit the gastric secretion and motility. Along with this, the placenta also secrete an hormone that is, I have already discussed, that is human chorionic gonadotropin, HCG, which is produced by fertilized egg after it get implanted in the uterus and it helps in maintaining the corpus luteum during the early stages of pregnancy. Hormones which always remains in the tissue fluid. These are the following hormones which always remain in the tissue fluid. First is the neurohormone. Neurohormones are secreted by the axonic end of the nerve cells. They are acetylcholine, which is a type of the neurotransmitter, and norepinephrine hormone. Then next is the prostaglandin hormone, which is also known as the local hormone, and these are the fatty acid. And these prostaglandin were first observed in the semen of the man, and these stimulate the contraction of the unstriated muscles. And these prostaglandins are secreted by the seminal vesicles of the male, and from there it reaches to the vagina of the female through semen. Next is the kinine. Kinine is secreted by any organ of the body at the time of chemical change in the extracellular fluid, and it is responsible for the reduction in the blood pressure by expanding or dilating the blood vessels. It also reduces the time of blood clotting, and thus it is known as the first aid hormone. Pheromones or ectohormones, they are secreted by the exocrine gland, and these chemicals are secreted by animals and affect the other animal behavior and mode of life of the same species. Means it will be secreted by one animal, but it will affect the another animal of same species. Just like the hormones, their target place is far from the place of the origin, as we have discussed in the endocrine gland, that is, it is secreted by one gland, but it will act on some other site. And pheromones are generally of three types, that is, sex pheromone, and aggregation pheromone, and alarm pheromone. Sex pheromone attracts the male and the female animal for reproduction. Female silk moth secrete bombicol or guipure from its body, which attracts the male for mating. Moscon is the type of sex pheromone which is secreted by the musk deer, and civetone is secreted by cat. Aggregation hormones are secreted by the insect, or through this they send the message from one group of insect to another, and due to this they get aggregated at one place, just like gyranol pheromone, which is secreted by honeybee. And next is the alarm pheromone. Alarm pheromone is secreted by one member of insect species, which alarm and warn the other members of the same species, just like the secretion of formic acids in ants. Next, here I have made a combined table of all the disorders which occurs due to hypo or hyposecretion of any of the hormones. Here I have given some tricks to learn the hormones. Generally, I have taken all those glands in which the number of hormones are more. I have not included all the glands, but some of the glands, just like the anterior pituitary gland, we can learn it, or we can remember it by trick that is flat pig. F for FSH, that is follicle stimulating hormone. L for luteinizing hormone. A for adrenocorticotropic hormone. T for thyroid stimulating hormone. P for prolactin. Actually I is not having any hormone, but I have added that just to maintain the word, and G is the growth hormone. Posterior pituitary, we can remember this at POW, that is a leg in Hindi, we call it as POW, and the P is responsible for posterior pituitary, A is ADH, and antidiuretic hormone, and O is for oxytocin. Then middle lobe of pituitary secretes just one hormone, that is MSH. Adrenal gland in adrenal medulla, we can remember it as MEN. M for medulla, E for epinephrine, and N for norepinephrine. Then in adrenal cortex, we can remember it as go, find rest, and make good sweets. G of go, we can learn it as a G, which is responsible for zona glomerulosa. Then zona glomerulosa secretes mineralocorticoid. F of find, that is zona fasciculata, and it secretes a glucocorticoid, and zona reticularis secrete sex corticoid. And then this is the table in which we can go to the quick revision in which all the glands and hormones are included along with the target tissues on which they work and what is their principal actions. In this, all the hormones are included. Thank you. Hello. Hello, sir.
Yes, hello.
Huh. Thank you, Mohit.
Priya,
Huh.
very well illustrated.
Thank you. सर कहाँ चले गए?
क्या पता.
हेलो,
हाँ सर.
ये मैं
जी,
ये
सर.
एक्सटेंशन वाला अटेंडेंस वाला डाला हूं ना, तो ये ओवरलैप हो जा रहा था, ये जो हमारा माइक है ना उस पर में, जिसके कारण मैं ये कर ही नहीं पा रहा हूँ इसको. जब उसमें से रिमूव किया हूँ तब ये ऑन हो रहा है. समझ रहे हो ना, एक्सटेंशन एक अटेंडेंस वाला मैंने जो बनाया हुआ है ना, तो उसको डाउन करके नीचे किया था और वहीं वो माइक पर ओवरलैप हो रहा है. कुछ भी कर रहा हूँ रिमूव ही नहीं हो रहा. जब भी कर रहा हूँ क्लिक तो वो उस पर चला जा रहा था. सो एनीवे इट्स गुड.
थैंक यू
हम
सर.
इसमें मुझे एक जगह जो लगा, उस अगर स्लाइड दिखा पाओ तुम, हाइपर इंसुलिन एंड हाइपो सिक्रीशन. मुझे लग रहा है दोनों ही एक ही लिख दिया तुमने, हाइपो नहीं लिखा है. जस्ट सो दैट स्लाइड जहां वो
हाँ
था
सर.
इंसुलिन.
सर एक मिनट. एक मिनट.
क्विकली वहां आ जाओ इंसुलिन वाले पर.
इंसुलिन में.
हाँ हाँ, इंसुलिन का जहाँ हाइपर इंसुलिन का था ना, हाइपर सिक्रीशन. हाँ देखो, अब ये हाइपर है या हाइपो है? ये क्या होना
हाँ
चाहिए?
हाँ सर.
यहाँ हाइपो होना चाहिए ना.
हाइपो है. यस सर. हाइपो सिक्रेशन है, फिर वो हाइपर है.
हाँ,
हाँ
वही
सर
मैं
मैं
देखा
कर
कि ये
दूंगी.
है ना, ये पर में. ओके,
हाँ सर.
इसको पीपीटी में सही कर लेना. और बाकी तो मुझे लग रहा है ठीक ही. हाँ, हाइपो कर दो. यस, बहुत अच्छा है. बहुत सारा चीज में बहुत कुछ जो है ना, बहुत क्या बोलते हैं, नीट वगैरह में बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस इससे आते हैं, इस चैप्टर से.
हाँ सर. सर मैंने मटेरियल भी वहीं से लिया है.
और
ये एलएन का
ओवरलैपिंग
ही है.
बहुत सारा तो हमने भी पहली बार नाम सुना है इन आपका हार्मोन
हाँ
का.
हाँ. हाँ सर.
बहुत कुछ ऐड हुआ है, पता नहीं. ठीक है, तो और कोई सजेशन?
नहीं सर, और कुछ नहीं.